This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Curse of the Cat People, the 1944 follow-up to the 1942 horror film Cat People. Directed by Robert Weiss and Gunther von Fritsch, the movie catches up with Oliver and Alice, who have married and had a daughter, Amy, since the events of the previous film. Amy is introverted and drawn towards fantasy and imagination, which worries her father as it not only prevents her from having friends, but it reminds him of Irina, his deceased first wife from the first film. Spoilers, by the way. Anyways, Amy ends up meeting with an elderly and eccentric neighbor who gives her a ring, described by the family butler as a wishing ring. When she makes a wish upon it for a friend, a ghostly figure does come to play with her and comfort her in times of need. It isn't until after a month or two that Amy comes to learn the name and face of her new friend, Irina. Spooky, isn't it? The actual story lies far from the first film's horror roots, though. There's no ghostly revenge plot or any other sort of supernatural happenings, nor does the movie really talk too much about the first film outside of the same characters reappearing and a scene or two going over the details of that first story. The rest of the film is actually a rather charming suburban fantasy, taking the trappings of a ghost story, putting it in a contemporary environment, and giving it a childlike sense of innocence and awe. Hell, a good amount of the movie is set at Christmas. If the references to cat people were taken away, not that it would be difficult to do so, the remaining film could work as a standalone story, with Oliver's grief and Amy's loneliness being substantive enough on their own to work without needing any sort of previous context to back things up. It may even allow a bit more development for the film's other characters, who end up being pushed back a bit in favor of Oliver, Amy, and Irina's presences. Curse of the Cat People, which really is an inappropriate title now that I think of it, does have some excellent imagery to back up this argument as well. Playing into its fantasy inspirations, special effects are put to use to help bring Amy's imagination and her visions of Irina into reality, quite literally changing the world around her as she makes her first wish, and as she finds happiness with her new friend, with cinematography and lighting making use of film noir conventions to further contrast her perspective. Musical stings and other choices also add to this, picking up more when she's playing with Irina, and stepping back whenever we have to go back to reality. There's a pretty clear separation between fantasy and reality, and the movie makes it well defined where those lines are drawn, specifically in how Amy's parents and other adults haven't a clue what Amy's up to in her playtime, and how they don't think much of it until Amy starts to recognize pictures of Irina. When it's time for Amy to reckon with that reality, though, the film comes back a bit to its predecessor's darker roots, showing how days of happiness must be met with fear and sadness, but also that there can still be some light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Or something like that, I guess. Curse of the Cat People. Robert Weiss, Gunther von Fritsch, 1944. 3.5 stars. I'd recommend giving it a watch. That's it for me for now. If you like this review, leave it a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews in the future. I wonder if I should go back and watch the first Cat People again to see if my opinion's changed. Maybe I should hold off. Is there an appropriate amount of time between viewings for reevaluations? Like, is there a law or something